misguided wanderers. First there were many, and now so few. How little you must value your lives to take a single insignificant breath in my sanctum. I'm afraid there will be no quick death for you. No escape from this suffering. I shall draw out your ending as I see fit. For in dark places such as this, one must keep themselves entertained.
You know what, guys? I like Dungeons & Dragons. It's a very entertaining pastime, and I've been playing through a campaign with some friends the last few weeks, and it's not my first. I've built a number of neat characters in my time. I've made a Centaur Oath of Vengeance Paladin, a Drow Tempest Cleric, a Tiefling Monk, a Dragonborn Eldritch Knight Fighter, and a Half-Elf Druid, just to name a few. So when I learned that Dead by Daylight was involving Dungeons & Dragons in their game, I just realized that's DBD and DND. Sorry. I was fascinated to hear about this crossover, and also a bit nervous, to say the least. How do you incorporate a turn-based TTRPG into an asymmetrical horror survival game? Well, I was pleasantly surprised with the result. The Dungeons & Dragons chapter gave us a kick-ass killer and a decent survivor. Or survivors, but they're the same model. You know what? We'll get to that. We'll get to that later. Let's just go into the lore. So, there is a new magic spreading across the land. Peace seems to have come to the fantasy world of Dungeons & Dragons. Everyone is happy as evil is slowly disappearing from the world. But Astri and her fellow bard Bearmar aren't as convinced. As bards, they know that adventures and joy can only be had from the overcoming of evil. So without evil, joy and excitement would go with it. So they set out on a quest to uncover the reason behind the evil being vanquished. Now, I want to start by saying I love and hate this. I love it because it touches on a very neat point that very few stories seem to comprehend. If you're a fan of Star Wars, you know all about the balance of light and dark. If one side is made too strong or too powerful, the other side will offset it somehow. So, for example, if there's too much peace and serenity, you run the risk of complacency and laziness, as we saw in the prequel movies of Star Wars. But if you're too embroiled in war and passion, you run the risk of destruction and loss. So that's what we saw in the original trilogy, where when the Empire took full control, we saw a lot of destruction and loss. Anyway, the concern that the trope has about the loss of evil is one you wouldn't expect, but it does make sense. If all evil is vanishing from the world, that's not inherently a good thing. But I also hate this because the implication is that evil is not inherent. Saying all evil is vanishing implies that evil cannot be at the heart of mortals. If all the evil races like dragons, goblins, gnolls, and the like are all just vanishing, well, that's one thing, but are mortals, all mortals, not capable of evil deeds, wants, or actions anymore? By saying all evil is disappearing from the land, so does that mean that an evil king can't rise up? There's just no more evil being done. It reeks of a childish simplicity. It reeks of a very juvenile outlook on things. But anyway, so the troupe makes their way to the source of the evil's disappearance, and they come to the Tower of Vecna, the infamous Arch-Lich. Inside the tower, they find a scroll. Now, Bearmar rolled an Arcana check on the scroll and got a nat 20, but as he read the scroll out loud, the DM threw a surprise confrontation with the entity. The party, completely outclassed, was TPK'd and thus banished to the realm of the entity. So, like I said, a unique idea about wanting to save the balance of evil and good, but a very childish execution. Dungeons & Dragons, by its very nature, is all about the battle of good and evil. If the argument is that Vecna is the source of that evil, that ignores the existence of other malicious forces, like the Mind Flayers, Lolth the Spider Queen, Tiamat, and the Dark Dragons, and others. And sure, I know the entity is powerful, but can he really just extinguish all evil in the world with his power? Or was this all an accidental spell that Vecna cast? Is Vecna even capable of doing this? Would he want to do this? The scenario is very strange, and it didn't have to be this way. You want to know the odd thing, guys? I wouldn't mind this setup, except there was a much easier way to handle it, a much more basic way to handle it. Watch this. All you really have to do is do the reverse. Say that an evil is spreading across the land that no one recognizes. And though they say it's from Vecna's tower, perhaps even establish that the Lich King could be behind it, you find out the Lich King has been missing for a very long time. Or perhaps say this magic just doesn't feel normal. Black fog keeps appearing and causing folks to disappear. So the troupe decides to go and investigate, and they discover that Vecna is not the one responsible, but something Vecna accidentally summoned. I think you could have gone that route and been fine. And then through their investigation, that's when the entity grabs them too. You could have it that Vecna was researching the entity, accidentally summoned it, the entity pulled Vecna into his realm. With Vecna gone, the entity's influence starts to pour into the world of Dungeons & Dragons, leading to evil popping up all over the place. The troupe goes to check it out. They manage to stop the evil from spreading, but in return, the entity takes them. Easy! Simple. It goes in line with Dungeons & Dragons. It fits. What's this crap about evils disappearing? Why? You know? But anyway, leaving that aside, let's talk about the characters now. There's this odd design choice. Here's what I find weird about Astri and Bearmar, okay? You can alternate the two based on outfit choices. Literally, it's just a change of cosmetics. Not even a skin. It's not like you can swap it out with like a skin. It's just different clothing pieces. The result of this is that Astri is the only female character with a male model, making her taller than all the other girls and making her run and move like other male characters. Now, I wouldn't mind this too much except for two issues. Number one, you could have easily fixed this by making Bearmar a skin rather than a cosmetic. They've done this with other characters like Cheryl Mason, where you have a male character skin versus a female. Or, and this is the second problem, you could have made things even more interesting by making Bearmar a totally separate character with his own perks and lore. Why not? Given that all the perks Astri has are based on spells in D&D, and given all the different powers bards and elves can have in D&D, you could have invented 3 more cool D&D based perks. Make Astri a bard and him a rogue or a ranger or something. There are options here. Astri could be all about supporting gen progression, while Bearmar could be more stealth and evasion. It just feels like they got lazy with this survivor, and it's a real shame. It's almost like they said, we could make 2 survivors, but now we'll just make 1 and then alternate the skins. I feel like they could have made 2 great survivors, and instead we got 1 sort of 2, and yet not 2. It's just really off-putting, because I've seen characters like Cheryl, and if you want to do a male character from Silent Hill instead of Cheryl, you have a skin which allows you to swap to that skin, and that skin has a male model. But here, I don't get it. Whatever, y'all don't want to hear about this. Y'all want to hear about the perks, right? Okay, so Astri has 3 unique perks. Bardic Inspiration, Mirror Delusion, and Still Sight. Bardic Inspiration. This perk is probably the most classic D&D perk Astri has, and it's everyone's favorite that she has, okay? You activate this perk by pressing the active ability button while standing still. You enter the performance state, where you pull out a lute and play a song for 15 seconds. While this happens, you roll a d20. The result given will impact the effect. If you roll a nat 1, you will scream and nothing else will happen. If you roll anything from a 2 to a 10, all skill checks for you and survivors 16 meters away from you will add a plus 1% to generator progress. Anything from an 11 to a 19, and it will do the same thing, but with plus 2% skill check generator progress. And finally, if you get a nat 20, you get a plus 3% to all skill check and generator progress for you and your allies 16 meters away from you. Also keep in mind, the performance must be completed to get any effects. Canceling it will prevent the effect, and you'll still have a 90-second cooldown either way. Now, as perks go, this is a pretty decent perk. I like it. It's pretty easy to implement, and it helps out your team, but I'll be honest, very few people use it for its intended purpose. Most people who run this perk use it to troll their friends or the killer by whipping out the loot and playing a song. Sometimes it has unexpected fun consequences, so I certainly don't hate this perk. It can be very fun. Have a look.
Oh, we're friends. We're friends. Here, I'll play you a song. I'll play you a song. We're friends, right? We're friends? I'm gonna play you a song. See? We're cool? Yeah. See, we're friends. We're friends. We're best. Bye, Sadako. We're friends. We're friends. Ow! Damn it, I guess we're not friends anymore. I guess we're not. I guess she's mad that I saved Havoc. Okay. We're friends, Sadako. Come on. I guess we're still friends then? Okay. Besties. Friends have arguments sometimes, but we still stay besties. It's so nice of her. I will heal you. Oh, she's coming to me. We are friends. We are friends. We are friends. I'll play you a song before I go, huh? Play you a song before I go. Dance with me. Come on. There you go. Hey, come on, dance it out. There you go. There you go. Dance it out. That's it. That's it. Yeah. We friends. We friends. Have a good one, man. Have a good one. You're awesome. Later. I don't even know how to describe that. I'm just gonna. I'll probably use that whole match in my video when I get to her character. Just because that was perfect.
Now, Mirrored Delusion activates after completing 20% of generator repairs. Press the active ability button near a generator chest, totem, or exit gate to place an illusionary stand-in of yourself there for a whole minute. It doesn't do anything other than appear to be a survivor to a killer, and you'll be surprised how often a killer can be fooled by these. Consider for a moment that most killers, if they see even the outline of a survivor from across the map, will immediately run for it to try to do something about it. It can be a great way to distract a killer and get their attention. I'll even admit, I've fallen for it once or twice.
Nice of her. That's what we're here for.
And then finally, still sight. Okay. While standing still for 4 seconds, the aura of the killer and generators 24 meters away from you will be revealed to you while you're standing still. Yeah. So you have to stand still for 4 seconds, and then all the generators 24 meters away from you will be revealed. Yeah, okay, this perk is fine, but honestly, the fact you have to stand still to get the effect makes it less useful than other aura perks like Visionary, which lets you see all generators in a trial without having to stand still. Yeah, I don't know why anyone would run Still Sight when you have Visionary. Because Visionary can show you all generators, not just the one 24 meters away from you. You don't have to stand still, and the only time this perk turns off is when it's on cooldown after a generator's completed. Honestly, Still Sight is inferior to Visionary, and I don't know why anyone would run it, but it's there. And that does it for Astriazar and Bearmar Urs, or whatever they are. I'm just going to call her Astri because that's what I run. But that takes care of our Survivor, as odd as they are. But next time we'll be talking about the killer that came out with the Dungeons & Dragons chapter. And, oh boy, I can't wait to talk about Vecna. I'm not going to lie to you guys, Vecna is one of my favorites. But we will deal with that next time in the fog. Take care.
I'm afraid there will be no quick death for you. No escape from this suffering. I shall For in dark places such as this,